Hello friends, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on Resident Evil Outbreak File 1 and why you should play it. So obviously, the most main reason for this is that it ties in with Requiem, which is about a little under 2 weeks out from the making of this video. But even if you're watching this after the game is out, I still recommend playing this game as it's a very fun spin-off in the Resident Evil universe. So just to get this out of the way, I had actually never played Outbreak until recently for this video. Capcom made several spin-offs during the PS2 days that I'm still making my way through, but I have played through all of File 1 at least twice to make this video. So to start off, what even is Outbreak? So this is a co-op experience, years before RE5 and 6, but is set during the Raccoon City outbreak. It has you selecting certain scenarios and then selecting a character to play during those scenarios. And so you can either play this game in either single player with AI companions, or you can do some workarounds and get it working online. So there are a ton of very helpful guides on how to do this. It's really easy to emulate the game, and it's actually pretty easy to get it working online. My buddy and I were able to get it running with no problems, and personally I do recommend playing the game this way. It's really fun. But once you're in the game, it's just like classic Resident Evil. You're going to explore, find puzzle items, fight enemies, get ammo. And overall, it's just a great experience, just running around the city, getting in trouble with your friends. So some mild spoilers here. I'm going to try to keep them to a minimum as I go through each scenario and give my thoughts. But first off, this intro rocks. The score is just so good, and it just sets the tone for the rest of the game. It's really unsettling, but kind of gets you hyped at the same time. So the first scenario is titled Outbreak. So this kind of acts as your tutorial for the game. So whatever character you select will end up at Jay's bar with the other characters. And eventually the zombies break in and we are forced to escape the bar. So this is really fun as you run around the bar, trying to avoid the zombies as you get different key items and unlock different areas of the bar. And you can go off on your own, or you can work together with your friends to escape. But either way, we end up making our way to the roof and jumping across to an apartment building. And there we make our way down to the street, and we have a few encounters in the streets that are really fun, like moving this police car to block off zombies, or having to light them up with a tanker. But after a few tense fights, we're able to get a moment of reprieve where we're able to stock up and head to the main street where there's a horde of zombies closing in. And this part is pretty fun as we avoid the horde and combine different parts of a detonator. And once we combine all the parts, we explode the street. But the scenario ends with the army moving in and closing off the city. So this game is kind of weird as the scenarios really aren't in order, and we're never given an exact reason for how characters get to the other scenarios. From some sleuthing I did, apparently this is a result of the game being heavily edited to fit on the PS2 disc, among some other reasons, so the game is a little wonky in this regard. But in scenario 2, which is titled Below Freezing Point, we follow Yoko, who is a former Umbrella researcher who has amnesia, and she leads the survivors to the nest from RE2. So this level is really fun if you've played the original RE2, because it's just that final area completely recreated in PS2 graphics, and you play through it backwards. And I had to constantly just pause as the deja vu hit me, and I remembered moments from my RE2 runs. It was really fun. But as we make our way through this lab, the hunters also make their comeback, which is awesome. I always love these guys. We also get an RE1 throwback where we have to run around the lab creating V-Jolt to defeat this kind of sus-looking vine. Capcom, you always gotta put something weird in your game. But also, if you play as Yoko, you'll get parts of her backstory as she encounters Monica, who is a colleague of Yoko, who is up to no good as she robs us and flees while carrying a very suspicious briefcase. But eventually Monica appears, and it's clear that there's something wrong with her as she collapses. But we don't have time for that as we ride the train from RE2 up into the train yard. But unfortunately, a baby G creature bursts out of Monica and follows us up. And this boss fight is really fun as we battle an adult G creature who is just running around and causing havoc, and we eventually defeat it. So the next scenario, which is called the Hive, is probably my least favorite scenario. So this takes place in the Raccoon General Hospital, which is the one that you visit in Resident Evil 3. So in this, a leech man pursues you throughout the hospital, and I just did not like this guy. He's relentless to the point where you don't really have any room to breathe, and he's just following you the entire time, so you like really don't have any time to think about the puzzles or like really what you're doing. But eventually the survivors manage to defeat the Queen Leech and escape through the sewers. But on the contrary, the next scenario, Hellfire, is my favorite set piece of the bunch. So this is set in the Apple Inn, which is currently on fire. You have to navigate through the burning building while fighting enemies and lickers and collecting different puzzle pieces and flipping switches. This is also the first time that I encountered the lickers in this game, and man, I just love their original sounds. Just hearing that breathy moan freaked me out, and I just ran from it immediately. But also, like, why are they like baby smooth in this one? It's kind of freaky. But the scenario ends with what you could call a boss, but it is pretty easy. So it's a half-transformed licker zombie hybrid called the Suspended, and I can't show much of it. You can look it up yourself, and you'll see why. But after we defeat it, a firefighter rescues us and is off to the final scenario. And finally, we have the last scenario in Resident Evil Outbreak File 1, which is titled Decisions, Decisions. So this takes place in Raccoon University, and this is the most RE-coded level in the entire game. So you will explore different rooms in this mansion of a campus, fighting zombies while collecting 2 jewels that fit into a mounted moose head before escaping outside, where we see the sharks from RE1 before encountering Nikolai and a tyrant named Thanatos who kills several Umbrella guys before escaping. We pursue the tyrant and end up downing him, receiving a piece of a T-virus vaccine. Eventually we're led to a massive beehive, where we obtain another piece of the vaccine. And finally, we enter a water processing facility, infested with relentless Hunter Ys as we collect the final piece of the vaccine. But with all the pieces collected, chaos explodes as Nikolai, a rogue doctor, and Thanatos all try to prevent our heroes from escaping. This culminates in one final fight with the tyrant as a rescue helicopter arrives. Once victorious, our heroes are taken to safety with hope literally in their hands, in the form of the Daylight vaccine, which, as explained in other media, would literally bring hope to the RE world, as the vaccine would be mass-produced, curing countless victims of the T-virus, along with Yoko and Alyssa being the key witnesses in court to bring about the fall of Umbrella. Quick edit here. As I was editing, I was recording the final scenario again for some extra footage, and I didn't realize that this game has a post-credit scene, which directly sets up Requiem. I'll show it here.
Here are today's results. It's been 6 months, but the number's still the same. There's no way people could sustain life there.
Not humans, no.
Sir, there's a call for you from the head office.
Put it through.
We'll start at noon, as scheduled. Is everything ready?
Yes, we'll be dropping 2 for each, beginning with sample T4. The rest will follow at 15-minute intervals.
But obviously they kind of retconned it just being a giant crater, but as you can see, there are people in the remnants of Raccoon City. So this directly ties into Requiem. So please go play this game right now so you can get this context. This is kind of insane. I'm like so giddy right now because I didn't realize that this was in the game. But yeah, overall, Outbreak File 1 is a fun romp through Raccoon City, despite its flaws. You can tell that this isn't a finished game, and a lot is left to be desired. But for what it's worth, I do recommend playing this game. It is really fun, especially if you're a classic fan, you will love it. And especially if you are interested in Requiem, since I am certain that they'll reference Outbreak a lot in that game. Especially with the new disease Elpis being connected to the T-virus and possibly the Daylight vaccine. But with that, that is the end of this video. I want to thank you guys for watching, and let me know down in the comments below what you're looking forward to in Requiem. I, for one, am really excited to see Leon return to Raccoon City, and hopefully we'll see some other survivors as well. Please bring back Jill. Alright, but without further ado, thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.